Hey everybody. So I've been looking at my insurance. A good question came up today on the GPX Moto Pitster Pro Facebook page, and somebody asked about, hey, who can I get insurance through because Progressive doesn't recognize the bike and you can only get liability. You can't get comp or collision, which is pretty annoying because it's a pretty cheap bike, so it should be, you would think they'd list it. Although I called twice. So first time I called, they basically said, yeah, can't list it. It's grayed out for us on our end. We can't do it. So when it was grayed out on my end, because I did it online because I have Progressive on my other two bikes, that I just thought maybe it was already including what was on those two bikes. You know, I didn't really put two together that it was strictly only liability. So that reminded me to call him this post. So I really thank Paul here for making the post, because it reminded me, wait, I need to do that to get that clarified. So I did call and they said, can't add it, can only be liability. So other people said, wait, but I got Progressive and it's listed as Pitster Pro. Another guy says he also has Progressive as well, but he doesn't know if it's listed as Pitster Pro. Of course, it also dawned on me after I called the second time, wait, no one's saying which bike they have. I have a TSE250R. Now these could be the FSE 250R, the 4-strokes. Maybe the 4-stroke is listed, maybe the 2-stroke's not. Maybe it's listed as Pitster Pro. But the second lady was really nice. She goes, oh, let me dig into this. She dug in and kind of looked and listened to what I had to say. Hey, my buddy has his Pitster Pro. Can I just change it to Pitster Pro? Because that's technically the company also. It's a little confusing, GPX Moto, but they are also Pitster Pro, right? Being importers. And I noticed it wasn't on their drop-down list online. That's why I called again. And after talking to her, she understood what I was saying. So she's like, that's really weird that other people would have it insured. Of course, I wasn't 100% sure that we're talking about the same model. But anyways, she went and checked with her higher ups. She was gone for a while. So whoever she was checking with, I don't know, a supervisor or somebody that actually enters maybe the vehicle information. But she went and checked. She came back and she goes, unfortunately, liability is the only thing we offer on that bike. I don't know how your buddy has it listed as Pitster Pro. And if it's listed wrong and it comes to paying out a claim, we might not pay that. So that is something to note if you have it as Pitster Pro and you also have a TSE250R. Now maybe you have a different year and for some reason that comes up as Pitster Pro and they see that in your system. Again, you might be fine. That might be something you want to clarify, because if you're worried that theft would occur, I doubt a collision. How many people are riding, if it's a 2-stroke, riding on the road? I mean, we connect stuff. The likelihood of somebody of me hitting somebody and then me being worried that, coverage, it's more likely they're going to be at fault, hit me, and I could sue them anyways, even if I don't have full coverage, right? I mean, they would still be at fault, I believe. I'm not an insurance expert. I don't claim to be. I only know things I've been through, and I, unfortunately, no, it's a good thing, have not been through a motorcycle accident where insurance parties were involved, so I have no idea. Now, granted, this bike is cheap, so as far as theft, that's the only thing I would be worried about, is like theft, right? And you might say, well, why don't you go somewhere else? Okay, so I looked at Geico online. So this is to help people out that are looking at getting at least the GPX Moto TSE250R, the 2-stroke. In 2021.5, maybe previous years also are listed. It could be one of those weird things. So I looked at Geico. I entered the VIN number and it pops up with it's a 2021 GPX Moto. Like, I didn't tell them any of that information. It got that from the VIN. However, if it was my only bike, their rate seemed kind of high. I could kind of probably play with some of the settings to make it reasonable, but liability only was $100. That seems high. Adding the bike through Progressive as just liability to a policy where I have 2 other bikes, it only added $6, and I have until this fall, so almost a whole year. So maybe it's a $12 add-on, let's say no worse than 20. So I don't want to go to a different company, pay $100 for the liability, right? So they offer full coverage too at Geico. So I checked on that. I clicked through the boxes, selected basically full coverage, and I think they wanted like $360 a year. That's like, wow, really? And that's even knowing about my little accident I had maybe 2 years ago. And so it might be a little bit cheaper without that wreck. And that was an auto, not, again, I've never been with insurance, motorcycle wreck. I've been in a motorcycle wreck, but there was no insurance involved because there was no reason to. And, it was my fault. I went down on the interstate and wrecked a street bike, and it was fine though. It damaged some road rash, some plastic, and plastic welded some stuff, or epoxied some stuff, and I just rode the bike like that and sold the bike like that. Like I didn't replace stuff. It was fine. I had liability only. So I'm not big into insurance. The only thing I would be worried about is typically theft. Now that I know that I don't have full coverage on this bike, that's a cheap bike anyway. It's a GPX Moto. It's $5,000. If I were to, somebody stole the bike tomorrow, I'd obviously still report it to the police, the VIN number and everything, and I'm going to be getting it titled here in Colorado. Either way, I have to get it titled here. Now, whether the title will say off-road use or not, I don't know how that works, because everything in Colorado has to be titled. So nothing else, I get a title. Now, whether I will have to go to an inspection to then get a different title to be plated, that's a different story. But I plan to plate it here. But honestly, it's to connect trails. It's not to ride on the road. Two-strokes don't make fun bikes on the road. Not fun. Not fun at all. And if you're just doing something super motard and you're going to like a track or something, then again, you don't really need full coverage now, do you? So I'm not really too worried about it other than theft. And we live in a pretty good area, so theft is pretty slim that they would steal that bike, although that bike is the cleanest looking, so somebody might assume that is the best bike to take out of my garage, or if it's in the truck with my gas, they might say that's a pretty clean bike, it must be new, and take that one, not realizing there's not much value in that bike. And again, I would report if it was stolen, the VIN, so they could get caught, right? And if they go for OHV stickers, you need to prove it's your bike and all that stuff, so they could get caught that way. I guess Colorado, they've had a lot of people get their vehicles, because vehicles, whether side-by-side, ATV, dirt bike, whatever, recovered because of how they do things now here with getting an OHV permit. And if you don't have an OHV permit and the ranger pulls you over where you're going to get a bunch of tickets, he might even jot down the VIN number because it might be stolen. Why aren't you registering this, for $25 for the year? Yeah, so it's a high risk. So you might get it back, although it would be beat on and probably wouldn't want it back, but at least you would probably get it back unless it went out of state. Again, so Geico will insure the TSE250R. I looked at Dairyland, they didn't pull it up, and I thought, well, maybe I could go behind Progressive's back because I know USAA works with Progressive, so maybe I go through their site, I could enter the information, and somehow that would offer full coverage. I did start doing that, but then it's like, because it takes you directly to the Progressive page, it's like, well, they already have my information. I don't need to go any further. They're going to know that I already have this bike registered with them when I log in, right? So I thought maybe I could sneak around that way. So no, not going to do that. And I think somebody else said, looking online here as I'm doing this, I think somebody said, let's see, Plymouth Rock They bought rider insurance. If you call, they will give full coverage for you. Your bike and liability. Also added my wife just because, $240 a year. See, that seems reasonable, but at the same time I'm not going to pay $240 on top of my $120 that I paid for my other two bikes, when if I had a third bike listed with one company, you know, it would probably be $240 for all. But I'm not changing all my insurance from Progressive, who's been great to me, who I have Emerald status, so I go front of the line, you get priority for a bunch of stuff. I'm not changing it for this one bike review to go with a company I don't know if they pay out or anything. I don't know anything about them. I'm not doing that. Plus, I want to keep my bikes with Progressive because I would like to move my cars back from AAA to Progressive at some point. And I think they would come in under that Emerald status still, so I wouldn't be losing my status, my years, you know, because I moved my cars away from them, did a bundle deal, and then it's like, worst thing you can do is bundle everything, because now you're stuck. If you pull one thing out, you're just totally messed up, you know, and it kind of stinks. I've actually, in the past, it was always, I found cheaper to shop around auto, shop around homeowners, shop around whatever else, and just do it that way. Individual. It's more of a pain, keep track of all that, but just, I don't know, for me, life lessons, I've found that to actually be typically cheaper, and then you're not stuck with companies, right? If the rate goes real high, you move your homeowners. You're not moving your cars or worried about your cars because now you don't get the multi-discount. They sucker you in by doing the multi-discount, you know, package deal, and then they give you a good rate, and then they can raise it, because then you have a hard time going elsewhere because you have to do it as a package, or you have to start just be willing to split it up, and I don't know. It's a pain in the butt. And let's see, this guy says, I'm in Connecticut and have Victory cross country first on my Progressive policy. They added the Pitster and GTX with collision. I think he means GPX, like GTX. With collision with no problem. Then I got the multi-vehicle discount and my policy only went up by $14. So these are typically people that are just, typically one bike might add a second. And of course, when you're adding bikes, they know you can't ride the bike. If you have 10 bikes with one company, they know you're not riding all of them at the same time, right? So it tends to be really, that's why it's so cheap for me to add a third bike onto my Progressive account, typically full coverage, because I have two other bikes. And I'm sure it's going to change when I pull off one bike and then have two listed. I don't know exactly, you know. They might say, well, you're riding one, you can ride two more than you can three, right? You can ride three more than you can four. It's just, you know, numbers. Somebody else said AMCO, but I looked them up and it looked like they're only out of Florida, so that doesn't do much good unless you're in Florida as far as the nationwide. Somebody says, I have mine insured through State Farm with no issues. What I'm finding odd, though, is the original poster, Paul, did not say which bike he has from GPX, and people are responding without mentioning which bike they're talking about. I admit to that too, because at first I thought I was on the GPX Moto TSE250R page, and I didn't. I think a lot of people might be doing that possibly. So who knows? So State Farm might be another. So Geico for sure, because I checked on it. A person says AMCO, not sure, because it's might not be the same bike as me. State Farm might, not the same bike though, possibly not the same bike. And then Plymouth Rock, again, don't know which bike, but that might be another one. In Victory Cross Country, but that sounds like something only in Connecticut, so up to you. Anyways, I hope this video helps you out with your GPX TSE250R. That's what I'm talking about. And as of right now, Progressive does not offer coverage and full coverage full coverage. So if you're okay with liability, they do offer that. And I checked with Dairyland, and it didn't seem to come up either. So Dairyland didn't like the VIN either. So I didn't check with many other companies other than Geico, and Geico did bring up the bike and did offer liability or full coverage. You could do full coverage. So up to you to check. And obviously insurance rates, I could have a twin and live down the road, and we both could have the same driving record, and we both get weird different quotes on the same exact vehicle. It's just weird how insurance companies work. So anyways, hopefully this helped you all out. Please like, subscribe, check out my other videos. Make sure to check out that Amazon affiliate link, because it really helps the page out. Costs you nothing. I know Amazon might be questionable to order from, but there are independent sellers on there. So it's kind of one of those things. Do you jeopardize them? Because a lot of the parts I order actually tend to come through the actual seller is somebody else, not Amazon. Amazon's just the device to collect the money. And so I don't know about your feelings on that on Amazon, but you know, it doesn't cost you anything if you want to support my channel and just buy something through the Amazon affiliate link, because you know, I get a piece of the commission as if I'm the sales guy, and it costs you zero. So thank you very much, and stay well, my friends. Have a good one. Bye.